today we'll be learning about exponents. So let's start by understanding what exponents are and how they work in mathematics by looking at some examples. Here is an example of an exponent, 4 raised to the power of 3. There are many ways to read this expression. One way is to say 4 to the power of 3, or 4 cubed, or 4 raised to the power of 3. All these ways are correct. You can choose any way you like. So in this expression, 4 is the base number and 3 is the exponent. An exponent is a number that tells us how many times to multiply a base number by itself. So in this case, 4 raised to the power of 3 means 4 times 4 times 4, which equals 64. We are basically multiplying 4 by itself 3 times. A common mistake is to multiply the base number by the exponent. For example, 4 raised to the power of 3 is not equal to 4 times 3. So we need to be careful when working with exponents. This was the most basic example of an exponent. Now there are some things to remember when working with exponents. First thing is that any base without an exponent has an invisible exponent of 1. For example, 8 is equal to 8 raised to the power of 1, which is equal to 8 again because we are multiplying 8 by itself one time. Another thing to remember is that any base number with an exponent of 0 is equal to 1. For example, 5 raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1 because we are multiplying 5 by itself 0 times. So if we multiply 5 by itself 0 times, we get 1. And lastly, we need to be careful when working with negative numbers and exponents. For example, negative 3 raised to the power of 2 is equal to 3 times 3 equals 9, and then the negative sign is applied to the result. The power of 2 is only applied to the base number and not the negative sign. Always look what is next to the exponent to determine what is being raised to the power. In this case, the number 3 is next to the exponent. So only the 3 is being raised to the second power, not the negative sign. In the second example, the parenthesis is next to the exponent. So we raise everything inside the parenthesis to the second power. The negative 3 is inside the parenthesis and therefore negative 3 is raised to the second power. After simplifying, we get negative 3 times negative 3, which equals 9, because when we multiply two negative numbers, we get a positive number. Let's now move on to simplify expressions with exponents. You can simplify expressions with more than one exponent by combining the exponents. The only requirement is that the base must be the same, and it looks like this. When multiplying powers with same base, we add the exponents. When dividing powers with same base, we subtract the exponents. Keeping this in mind, let's look at some examples. Here we have 5 raised to the power of 2 times 5 raised to the power of 6. The base number is the same in both expressions, which is 5. So we add the exponents. After adding the exponents, we get 5 raised to the power of 2 plus 6, which is 5 raised to the power of 8. If we multiply 5 by itself 2 times and then multiply 5 by itself 6 times and then multiply the results, we still get 5 raised to the power of 8. Let's now look at another example. Here we have 7 raised to the power of 4 divided by 7 raised to the power of 2. Now the base number is the same in both expressions, which is 7, but we are dividing the powers with the same base, so we subtract the exponents. And that gives us 7 raised to the power of 4 minus 2, which is equal to 7 raised to the power of 2. If you want to check that why this works, you can do it the long way. If you multiply 7 by itself 4 times and then divide it by 7 raised to the power of 2, which is 7 times 7, we can cancel out 2 of the 7s on top and both on the bottom, because anything divided by itself equals 1. And the final answer is 7 raised to the power of 2. Now that we have understood how to simplify expressions with exponents, let's move on to exponents with variables. When working with exponents with variables, the same rule applies. Here we have x raised to the power of 2 times 2y times x raised to the power of 4. To simplify, we add the exponent to the same base. In this case, x raised to the power of 2 and x raised to the power of 4 have the same base, which is x. So we add the exponents, and that gives us x raised to the power of 2 plus 4, which is equal to x raised to the power of 6 times 2y. You can also write it as 2 times x raised to the power of 6 times y. Let's look at another example. Here we have 3 times a raised to the power of 9 divided by 7 times a raised to the power of 5. We know that when dividing powers with same base, we subtract the exponents. So we subtract the exponents of the same base, which is a, and that leaves us with 3 times a raised to the power of 4 divided by 7. Let's look at an example of the power of power. Here we have x raised to the power of 2 raised to the power of 3. When you have a power raised to the another power, we multiply the exponents. So x raised to the power of 2 raised to the power of 3 is equal to x raised to the power of 2 times 3, which is equal to x raised to the power of 6. Let's look at another example of power of power. Here we have 3 times x raised to the power of 7 times y raised to the power of 4 raised to the power of 2. Now we know that when we have a power raised to the another power, we multiply the exponents. So let's apply this knowledge to this expression. After simplifying, we get 3 raised to the power of 2 times x raised to the power of 7 times 2 times y raised to the power of 4 times 2, which is equal to 9 times x raised to the power of 14 times y raised to the power of 8. Now let's see some examples of negative exponents with variables. Here we have x raised to the power of negative m. Now how do we simplify this expression? When you have a negative exponent, we can rewrite it as 1 divided by the base raised to the power of the positive exponent. So x raised to the power of negative m is equal to 1 divided by x raised to the power of m. You basically calculate a negative exponent by using reciprocal. Let's look at another one. Here we have 3 raised to the power of negative 3. Now we know that when we have a negative exponent, you can rewrite it as 1 divided by the base raised to the power of the positive exponent. So 3 raised to the power of negative 3 is equal to 1 divided by 3 raised to the power of 3, which gives us 1 divided by 27. So this was the basics of exponents. I hope you have understood how exponents work and how to simplify expressions with exponents. That is all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, keep learning and take care.